Hey guys, this is Mark with Think Insurance, helping you understand your insurance policy, save you time and money, hopefully giving you better coverage. What is uninsured motorist? It's called UMBI, UMPD. That's uninsured motorist bodily injury, uninsured motorist property damage. There's also another one called UIMBI, UIMPD. And so that's under-insured motorist bodily injury, and then under-insured motorist property damage. It's really simple once you think about it. So what it does is it's kind of a safety net. If you get hit by a driver, and let's say that driver doesn't have insurance, depending where you're driving, some cities have a 40% uninsured motorist rate. So there is a pretty good risk out there. There are some states that have certain areas where up to 40% of the people don't even have insurance that are driving. So what that does is that protects you. Because what they're going to do is that if you get in an accident and they hit you, they injure you, they damage their car, they're going to take off. They're gone. They're not going to deal with the getting arrested or any of that stuff or getting fines because they know they don't have insurance. Those are your hit and runs. Well, now who do I go after? If I'm injured or my car's damaged, what happens? That's where that uninsured bodily injury comes in. If that person has no insurance or it's a hit and run and anyone in my car gets hurt, I can go after my uninsured bodily injury. Typically, you're going to have it close to 50 and 100,000, 100 and 300,000, 250 and 500,000. What that means is that's per person per accident. So if you did the 100, 300, that would be 100,000 per person bodily injury, 300,000 per accident. Covers your hospital bills. The uninsured property damage is your car. So if they damage your property or damage your car or your house or whatever they're hitting, the uninsured property damage is going to cover your vehicle. So that's going to be the uninsured property damage. Some states don't offer this because they just tell you to get full coverage, which we'll go over in a second. Most states do. They allow you to have this as a separate coverage for those of you that don't want full coverage and you still want it covered in the case of an uninsured property damage. But why would you want it when somebody doesn't have insurance and you don't want full coverage anyways? Well, mainly because it's cheap. A lot of times it's not very expensive to have that extra coverage. It's kind of a nice thing to have to know that you have some sort of coverage if someone hits you and takes off, versus you can hash it out with somebody if you did get hit by someone and it was their fault, or their insurance is going to pay for it, where you know if it's your fault, you're just going to fix it yourself. That coverage typically comes in small increments, so it's either 5, 10, 25, or 50,000. You can go higher than that, but most cars that are going to have that don't necessarily have that high of a value. So if you're lower than that, go that. If you need 100,000, you can also do 100,000. Underinsured motorist is something where it's the difference between what you carry and what the other person's carry. So let's say I'm driving around in Alabama or New Jersey or Georgia, wherever, right? Let's just use Georgia. Their state minimum is 25,000 per person bodily injury, 50,000 per accident. So the most I could get if I was injured is that 25,000. Well, I might have a little bit more income or a higher insurance policy. Let's say I do 250,000 per person and 500,000 per accident. It wasn't my fault, so my insurance isn't going to pay out on that. But theirs is only going to pay up to 25,000. So I have two options. I can either sue the person who, if they are carrying that low of a coverage, likely aren't going to be able to afford that. So I'm probably not going to get any money back from them. So what I can do is I can protect myself and put the underinsured motorist bodily injury and property damage on my policy. If they have 2550, I have 250,500. So we're going to subtract their 25 because their insurance is going to pay that much. And now I've got up to 225,000 additional coverage for myself or people in my car. That's really the main piece of it. I kind of did a bad example because Georgia has some complicated one that's called reduced by and added by. We're not going to go into that in this video. If you guys do want to learn more about that, let me know. I'll put it in the description below. But for most states, that's what it is. Same thing for underinsured property damage. If I carry 100,000 and my car is worth 60, but they only carry 10,000, then I'm going to get the difference. My insurance is going to pay the difference because I'm insuring myself to cover in case of those situations. Can I go after the person? Absolutely. I could just not carry the uninsured motorist and the uninsured property damage and just go directly after that person. But at the end of the day, it's so much work and hassle, and it could take years sometimes to get that from that person, or even from their insurance sometimes. So it's kind of one of those things where it pays me today, fixes my car today, I'm good to go. The insurance can deal with the rest of it in the background. So what if I just do full coverage, or what's called collision insurance? So I can carry collision on my car, and that's absolutely a great way to go. The only real difference between those is, let's say that person hit you that didn't have insurance and I wanted to get my car fixed. I could go after them, that's fine, but I'm just going to have my deductible. Let's say my deductible is $500, so I have to out pocket that $500 to get my car fixed. I have to go after the guy myself to get my $500 back. If you have dispensable money and you don't mind carrying that extra thing, sure. Don't carry the uninsured property damage. Just know that you may lose $500 in the case of an accident. And if you're really angry, you can go after the guy. There are other coverages that you can do as well besides the uninsured motorist. So if you're really just more concerned about the medical, a lot of states offer either PIP, which is personal injury protection, or they offer MedPay, which covers medical per person in your car. And that's the nice thing, is that's a regardless of fault situation. So why don't I just add the medical coverage? That's an additional coverage that you can do. Well, the main reason is that, one, it doesn't go high enough. So in most cases, medical coverage is usually $5,000, sometimes $10,000. Some states let you go $25,000. There are a couple out there that will go higher than that, but not likely. So it's per person. So I can get up to $25,000 per person. The problem is it's not as cheap, because that covers you in the situation where you're at fault, not the situation where the other person hits you. So in those cases, you would still carry the medical coverage, and you would carry the underinsured and underinsured motorist coverage. If this is all new to you guys, what I would recommend is that you go ahead and watch my Insurance 101 video. I'm going to break it down right on screen, show you actual written down coverages, what every piece of a policy typically covers, and then generalize it for most people. Is it worth having the uninsured and underinsured motorist? Absolutely. However, some states, it's really, really expensive. Florida, it is really, really expensive. That extra cost could double the policy. So in most cases, you're going to carry a reduced amount. Some cases, you're going to have the medical from the state because they do have a PIP coverage. The problem is, I think it maxes out at like $10,000. You should be able to go up to $50,000 in writing as well, but at the end of the day, that's typically not worth it because it only pays like 80% of your medical, a little bit of work loss, things like that. So having that uninsured and underinsured motorist is very important. States like Florida and those high-risk states where there are a lot of uninsured motorists, you're going to pay a lot more. In the majority, I would say 80% of all of the states, it's not expensive at all. To add that coverage might add $100 a year, if that. Some areas more, some areas less. That's kind of where those quotes come into play, where you're just checking around different companies, because each company carries a different risk in each area. I'm going to go ahead and put that video on the end screen here for you guys to watch. I hope you guys got great advice out of this. Subscribe if you want to keep up to date with more information. Like it if you liked it. Thumbs down if you hated it. I will see you guys in the next one.